Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Huskers in Enemy Territory. Today we're going to talk about the Northwestern Wildcats. Overall, the 2020 campaign for the Wildcats was a great success, other than losing to the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Big Ten championship game. With that being said, the season did start out great with wins over Maryland 43-3, Iowa 21-20, Nebraska 21-13, Purdue 27-20, Wisconsin 17-7, Illinois 28-10, and the bowl game versus Auburn 35-19. Now let's look to 2021. With that, let's focus on some of the strengths of the team. The defensive line will be a strong point, with the whole team bringing back 3 of the 4 starters from last year's team. Running back Cam Porter will be absolutely the bell cow for the Wildcats, especially having run for 301 yards and 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games of 2020. Now, if you're enjoying the content, consider a like and comment. How do you feel the 2021 season will go for the Wildcats, and where will they end up being in the Big Ten West? Now let's transition to some of Northwestern's weaknesses. Northwestern lost their quarterback and 4 of their top wide receivers. They will be looking for an offensive weapon to take those places. The defense must replace several stars, including first-round cornerback Greg Newsome. And now let's transition to the schedule. The ceiling, I think Northwestern can go 8-4. I think the beginning of the schedule is really in their favor, and essentially they could maybe go. Let's see. I think they could go 4-0 really in the first 4 games. It'll be a tough one versus Nebraska, and then they have Rutgers, Michigan, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Illinois. So they could really win probably versus Purdue and Illinois, and then they have to figure out 2 more wins, and then they're at 8-4. So I mean, I don't see how they couldn't get to 8-4 really. And I think for a floor record, I think they could get around 6-6. You know what I mean? Like maybe things don't go right. Quarterback Ryan Helinski doesn't figure it out. Like I said earlier, they have a lot of issues with not having starters for their 3 wide receiver positions. And also they have, let's see, question marks at, I would say, left guard and right tackle, which might be a little bit of concern. But they are returning, let's see, 1, 2, 3 starters on the offensive line, so that kind of helps. You know, it just kind of depends on can those offensive weapons, or not weapons, but can that offensive line gel together without having, with having 2, new people or two new pieces to the fold, or whatever you want to say. Now let's transition to the fans' perspective, and for that, I talked to Ben Weinberg, and his handle is at BWEINY, and he says, okay, strengths are the secondary and D line. Linebacker has 2 new starters, but the position has never been a weakness under Fitzgerald. So people are optimistic. He says Cam Porter at running back is the only strength on offense, which I highlighted. Weaknesses is that we're relying on Helinski to fit well and continue to mature with success after sitting 2020 at South Carolina. Even if you're optimistic, it's still a large unknown. O-line needs to run block more consistently. The talent is there, and there will be no excuse if they can't since that's what Fitz wants to do on offense. We were really good at managing the game, avoiding mistakes, and playing a defense that really got beat with big plays. With a new defensive coordinator, transition has to be smooth or we're going to be vulnerable. He says ceiling is 10-2. At Wisconsin will be the toughest game, and that isn't a guaranteed loss. He says the floor is 5-7. Non-con is soft enough that even if we went 2-7, the Big Ten sweeping Duke and MAC and FCS is possible. Fitz is just obsessed with not letting another 2019 happen, which is basically impossible to think that he's a really very good head coach and will fall all the way back down after winning the division again. And he says he's super motivated to avoid it. He might be a little high on his prediction, 10-2, especially with all the losses that I saw, on the offensive side of the ball, and really the defensive side of the ball. But, Northwestern is like one of those weird teams where you can never really predict, it seems, what they're going to do. I mean, look at last year. I mean, they, after 2019, I wish it would say on here, but, after 2019, you were like, well, these guys suck. They're not going to do anything. And then, this upcoming year, 2020, they went 7-2 overall and won the West. So, are you going to get something that's, 2019? Or are you going to get another repeat performance of 2020? I think it might be kind of somewhere in between. That's why I said they're going to be probably 8-4 to 6-6, somewhere in that range. So, we'll see. I think a lot of these teams that they're going to be playing, like I said, the first four is easily, they could easily go 4-0, you know what I mean? And Nebraska truly does play Northwestern tough every year. Traditionally we were kind of going back and forth, but I think they might have had our number for the past few years. But, Rutgers is easily a win, and then you got to wonder, is Michigan, Minnesota, and Iowa and Wisconsin, how many they're going to win in that little stretch right there? That's going to be a tough stretch. But I really think that they can beat Purdue and Illinois. I don't see them losing to those two teams. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Northwestern can do. But it was fun, looking into a deep dive into Northwestern. And next up will be Nebraska. And then so Nebraska will be Friday. I'm going to do Iowa on Saturday with my wife. So that should be fun. And then I'm going to include Hawkeye Matt on the Iowa video. And I'm going to need to find someone for the Nebraska video. But overall, these videos have been pretty fun. And Wednesday will probably be a Minnesota Vikings video. Let's see. It'll probably be, I already did Green Bay. Wait, no, I didn't. I haven't done a Green Bay versus Minnesota Vikings video yet, so that'll be next. That'll be fun. We'll see where I go with that one. That first game looks like, it's in Minnesota. Ooh. That might be an upset alert. That might be spicy. Do the Shaquille O'Neal spicy take on that one. But okay, so Wednesday will be Minnesota Vikings versus Green Bay. Friday will be Nebraska, and I'll do Iowa on Saturday. So we'll see how well that works with the wife, and maybe she'll be a little timid, but it should be fun, I think. She's always a hoot. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications. And as always, go Big Red.